Cultivation. You'll see in your notes we talk about defining cultivation, what it means for cultivation. Cultivation, to give attention to development or advancement of something. My wife and I, we just joke. We kill every single plant in our house. We can't keep plants in our yards. I mean, it's just terrible. We are really bad as much as we try. And that attention is needed and is so necessary for things like plants. It is so true with our major donors. We have got to give special attention. We've got to set aside that time. We can't just look at them as okay, something that I'll get to when I get a few minutes, because you won't get a few minutes in your day. You have got to set aside time to intentionally cultivate a relationship with someone. So it's important as we look at these things today for you to understand that it's got to take some intentionality, it's got to take some focus, and you really do have to give it the time and attention that it needs. Cultivate, to improve by care, training, or study to promote the growth of one's interest in a cause. The cultivation process is to develop the necessary understanding that allows an individual to embrace a cause or to respond to a need. And the bottom line is to find out what another person wants and then help him or her obtain it. This is people work. What this means is that if you are gifted in the area of listening, then you're going to have one step ahead of a lot of people. But if you aren't, if that's not where your natural gifting is, you need to begin to develop those skills. You need to be good listeners, not good talkers, because that's where I have seen over the years that people really make a mistake. Now, is it bad to be able to communicate things? No, not at all. It's critical for you to be able to communicate things. But I've found that it is so important before you begin to talk, and I've used that example many times, but you need to find out where they're coming from. You need to understand them. You need to listen to them. Now, that sometimes it's almost reverse of what we hear in sales training and things, in that you got this one opportunity with this person, so you want to get in your message as fast as you can, and got to have that elevator speech all ready and everything. But we're talking about developing a long-term relationship. Granted, you're going to have situations where you finally get into that bank president, and this may be the last opportunity that you get to make your pitch to that person. But in all likelihood, what you do is you will have time. And you want to begin to look at fund development as a long-term relationship. Fundraising is getting in people's pockets. It's getting in there and getting in as quick as you can and extracting money as fast as you can from an individual. Development is about cultivating a long-term relationship, because that's when people stay with you for the long haul. I have individuals, and you probably do on your support team, that those individuals are closer than family members to me. Some of my ministry partners, when we put our will together, my wife and I, and it was asked, if you would die before your kids are 18, who are they going to go to? We didn't list family members. We don't have family members who are solid believers. We've got ministry partners who are going to take our kids. And I didn't grow up with those people. I didn't know them before I started raising support. Those individuals, I've developed a relationship and I trust them. And it's because we've cultivated relationships over the years. And in turn, they've done the same for me. I'm on a number of wills for my ministry partners. And it's funny, but that's the relationship that you want to develop, that they trust you. Skills needed: a genuine interest in those being cultivated, a desire for a relationship. Ladies and gentlemen, I know that sometimes it's hard to find that balance, because initially, you may start a relationship with a person because you want to eventually challenge them to be part of your ministry and to fund your ministry. But you've got to find that balance and say, do I genuinely want a relationship with this person? And hopefully you do, and that you build that relationship. Be observant. Find out what are the things that interest them. Just as, think about when, those of you who are married, think about when you first started dating your husband or wife. What did you want to do? You wanted to find everything you could about that person. What were their interests? What were their needs? What were their desires? What did they care about? What did they weep and pound the table for? That's what you want to find out. And if they have got an interest that your ministry will help to meet a need there, all the better. That's terrific. Hey, if nothing else, as I've mentioned a few times, Campus Crusade might not have anything. It would surprise me, but there might not be anything in there that they are interested in. Help them find something and show genuine interest in them. Be observant and be there for them. Listen. When you walk into an office, I'm always looking around for something that will capture just a glimpse of who they are. Do they have on their wall a picture with George Bush shaking hands, or do they have a picture with Billy Graham, or is this their kids lined up, or their grandkids? And make sure you make those notes. If you have to have a dictating machine with you, or your little palm device, put that down in that, but capture that information, because it's important. If you genuinely want to care about them, you've got to make sure that you're capturing that information. Sensitivity, be sensitive. Be sensitive to their time when you're scheduling an appointment. Be sensitive to the needs that they have, the desires. Are they going through difficult times? Are they going through challenging times? Pray for them. Always be looking for that. Understanding your ministry's scope and plan. You have to have a good grasp on what you're doing and be flexible to see how that can fit with their needs. I mean, as I said earlier, I'd be awful surprised that somewhere with 65 different ministries, that Campus Crusade wouldn't meet their needs somewhere in there. If it isn't your particular ministry, somewhere you can say, you know what, let me hook you up with Dan Willman over at the Jesus Film. Or, I see you've got a heart for high school students. How about if I introduce you to Scott Strobin at Student Venture? There's got to be some connection there some way. An ability to talk in terms of the donor's interests. In other words, go in there not with the idea that here's how you can help me, but here's how I can help you. Listen to what they have to say and say, Mr. Jones, what I heard you say was that you've got a heart for college students, that you've got kids who are currently in college. You have a heart and a burden for college students and how the temptations that they face. And I believe that we've got some programs that would interest you. Let me share some of those things with you. Cultivation activities. Your only limitation is your lack of creativity. Personal visits in donors' homes or office and at your headquarters. Try and get in to connect. I'm a big advocate of trying to get in with a husband and a wife as much as I can, because I believe that connecting with a husband and wife, you're going to get the full package. 25, 30, 35 years ago, you could go into a man's office and say, will you support our ministry? He'd go back and say, honey, we're going to start supporting the campus ministry of Campus Crusade. Will you write a check every month to them? And that might fly. I don't believe that flies today. If you want it for longevity, you're going to have to get both the husband and wife to get connected. Do everything you can to pull the other spouse that wasn't part of it. And you know how that is. I mean, the spouses are typically at different levels. Even when you go to meet both of them, you know that one of them is engaged and the other one isn't as engaged. Do everything you can to get that other spouse up to that same level. Regular phone calls. Don't be afraid to pick up the phone. Just say, hey, you know what? I was praying for you today. No other ulterior motives. I just wanted you to know, I thought about you. Lord brought you to my mind. I just wanted you to know that I prayed for you. Mailings with personal notes. If you're going to send out a regular mailing, consider writing a note from time to time to individuals. I'm a big advocate of what I call insider letters. I've just seen the success of doing those, where you take a monarch-sized sheet of paper. Every month you send 3 or 4 paragraphs that are personal inside snapshots of what's going on in the ministry, the latest, the hottest information. And I just fire those off every month to that 20% that makes up 80% of your income. And on those, I'll write a personal note. Hey, how's your daughter? How did that time at Vanderbilt go? That's something you want to do. Updates and progress reports regarding your donor's area of interest. We've begun to really work on this. It's been an area in the campus ministry we've begun to work on significantly, where we're continuing to print one-page summaries so that our reps can take those in to donors. And it's a great excuse to meet the donor rather than mailing them. We bring those in. Informal meal times, just a time when you call them up and say, you know what? I'm going to be in town. I don't know if you're a lunch person, but I'd love to just get together. No agenda. Just want to find out how things are going with you and your family. Think about ways to do that. Meetings of substance and meaning to the donor. Are there some things that really interest them? Is there a topic? Did they put something in a letter or something that pray for this? Well, you know what? I would like, last letter you sent to us, you mentioned something about praying for your daughter who is struggling in college. Could we get together and I'd like to just share with you, maybe some things that have worked in our ministry with some of the kids we've worked with in college. How can I help you with that so that you're providing them something? Has nothing to do with giving, but just some ways you can help. Certainly special events, if you've got not only major donor events where you might have a weekend or you might have a banquet, but are there opportunities where your ministry leader may be in a town, donors and ministry partners in Memphis, Tennessee, and Ted Gandy just happens to be in Memphis and is speaking at a church. Well, go ahead and invite them, and whether you're going to be there or not, just say, hey, Ted's going to be in Memphis. I know you two haven't ever met. Would you have a few minutes to stop by the church? I know Ted would love to meet you. Something like that, so special events. Interest-oriented activities, if there's things that they're interested in. I'll tell you, one of Jim Topmiller, my former colleague's gifting and blessings has been in the area of fishing. He's like a master fisherman, outdoorsman, hunting, everything else. He just used to be so good at just taking ministry partners out fishing. And they'd sit in a boat, they'd never talk about money, but don't you know that being able to connect together in a boat, in a duck blind, it's amazing how much can be accomplished on those situations. The golf course, it's a great way to connect with people on the golf course. Videos. Certainly if you're producing videos, if you're creating something that's worthwhile, and, don't be afraid to produce something short. I think sometimes we think, man, if we're going to give somebody a video, it needs to be 25, 30, 40 minutes. Even if you've got a 2-3 minute video, exactly. Mike's given me 3 minutes, and that's exactly right. I mean, people's attention spans are short these days, and they're busy. And so give them something, something can really pop in 2 to 3 minutes. You can really produce some great things. Advanced copies of new materials. Give them something that other people don't have. When you're an insider, you want to be treated like an insider. If that's what you're saying to them, that you're important to me, give them first copies of things. You're creating a brochure. You've got your draft. Hey, bring it into a ministry partner. Say, what do you think of this? We're going to be presenting this to business people like you. Would you tear this apart and tell me what you think? And that really pulls them into the mix. You don't have to do everything they suggest, but that really helps a lot. It's mentioned that we are really sincere with people, and I know that oftentimes can seem like a tough balance. Go in there as genuine as you possibly can, and I mean true genuine, not act genuine. If you say I'm going in there just to get to know you, and then all of a sudden look at, I happen to have a proposal with me. Where did that come from? They're understanding. They're not dumb. And then periodic small and meaningful gifts. A colleague with another ministry mentioned to me one time that he had been really trying to get into see a major donor for quite some time, a significant individual, and he had gone by and tried to get in, and the secretary said I was really busy, but he had noticed that she had pictures of her son and that he was a big soccer fan. Well, what he did was he had gone to, apparently had been invited with the ministry to be part of a World Cup game. Well, he had picked up a soccer ball there and had some signatures. He brought that into the secretary and gave her that ball for her son. Now, the next time he called to get an appointment with her boss, do you think she tried maybe a little bit harder to get him some attention next time? That's guaranteed. And when he finally got that appointment with the boss, do you know what the first thing on his lips were? Thank you for caring about my secretary. She's a single mom. It's a difficult situation for her, taking care of her son. You cared about her. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to give you some time. Just, think about that. Care about other people. Arrange meetings for them with other major donors. Connect people of similar interests together. People want to be part of a winning team. They want to know that, I've got a ministry partner in Midland, Texas. Do you know that somebody who is in oil and gas that he respects is also a ministry partner? Hey, connect these two people up. Get them connected together so that they not only, if they've got similar interests in professionally, now they've also got similar interests in ministry, and they can help to accomplish things together. Invite them to join your development council. Bring them in. Give advice to what you're doing. Ask them to host some major donor parties for you. Ask them for advice. We mentioned that. Send them notes or cards on birthdays or anniversaries. And again, don't just send it to the man. Or remember the wife. Remember the kids. I mean, we've done situations where we've had our kids write birthday cards to their kids. They never even knew them, never met them. But boy, that really touches people sometimes. Send them flowers when in the hospital, or send them flowers, just if they help out and do some things. I'm a big one. Don't get any money back from this or anything, but I love Pro Flowers. They send the best flowers out there. It's easy. You do it online. You can get them done, and their prices are quick. $29.95, you can send someone a dozen roses in a nice vase, beautiful. They last weeks, and I do it. I've got some ministry partners for that help one ministry, and I know when their anniversary is. And when they have key anniversaries, one just celebrated 45th anniversary, I just sent them, a dozen flowers. And listen and be observant. And the reason how I found out about this person's 45th anniversary, we just happened to be talking, and that was 2 years ago. And he said, I can't get together. It's my wife and my 43rd anniversary. Well, I put that in there in my Outlook as a repeating on that day every year. So here I am, 2 years later, boom, 45th hits, special anniversary. I went ahead and sent them flowers, and boy, that really jumped out for them. So just, hey, Jim thinks about me. That's important, those kind of things. Send photos of those who benefit from their gift, and make sure, if you've got action photos, picture of you shaking hands with someone isn't the most exciting. Get some action photos. If I had people who were underwriting this seminar, do you think I would take a picture of Mike Duggins and I shaking hands? Thank you. You helped me reach Mike Duggins. No, I'd be taking pictures from the back where they can see there's a whole group of people here, and that, hey, you influenced all these leaders. And write and call to thank personally, so important. Let me share a story with you that has always just captured my heart over the years. I've got a rule of thumb that when I work with ministry leaders, I will say that at a certain level, depending on where the ministry is at and their size, that I always recommend that someone, a ministry leader, make a call. This particular ministry, the cutoff was $1,000. Any gift of $1,000 or more, the ministry leader would pick up the phone and call. So I'd only been gone for about 2 or 3 days, and the ministry leader gets a gift for $1,000. Says, okay, Jim Dempsey said I need to call this person. So he picks up the phone, and he thanks the person. They have a great conversation. It's just, they connect well. 2 days later, he gets another gift from this guy for $1,000. Says, okay, well, I guess Jim said, even if he didn't say that if it was the same donor, should I call? I'll go ahead and call. So he calls the person again. They get off on another topic that was really of interest to the ministry partner. Had another great time. 2 days later, he gets another gift from $1,000 from this person. So now he's kind of, wringing his hands a little bit. Wow, I've just called this person twice already in the week's time. Do I call again? I think I'm going to alter this a little bit. So without calling me or asking me, he just decides he's going to take his own initiative to kind of vary the plan a little bit. So he calls and he says, now, Joe, I know that we talked twice already this week, but I just want you to know that I don't want you to send another gift. I just enjoy talking with you. And so I just wanted to tell you that I just enjoy that. And he said, well, the ministry partner turned it on the ministry leader and says, you know what, I'll make a deal with you. I won't tell you how to run your ministry if you don't tell me how to give my money. And he said, I give to a lot of ministries, and I can tell you those ministries that I give to, I give much more significantly than I give to your ministry. But I have never, in all my years, had a ministry leader bother to pick up the phone and call me and thank me for my gift. He said, that means a whole lot to me. And about a week later, he got a $5,000 gift from this partner, and now he's giving in excess of $100,000 or more a year to this ministry. And it all what came down to him bothering to pick up the phone and call. We don't realize what that means. In this day and age, when technology has just advanced to the point where it's easy to just fire off an email, just a personal touch makes a big difference with people.